You're on the Six Screens Telenetwork, earning the reputation of giving all the right ingredients, uninhibited, and exposing the hard, cold facts about the Watchtower Society. And now, the end is near.
Well, hello everyone, and welcome in to JW World News. Wow, we're glad to bring you the news tonight, and we get a lot of it. I hope you stay with us. Boy, I'll tell you, we once again see Robert Hendricks with these infomercials really building up the Watchtower. Unbelievable. And then they got a new modular Kingdom Hall. It looks like it was something made out of a storage box. We got that story. And also the Pioneers. Wow, in March, they're going to have to start reporting their time. And some of the thoughts are 70 hours a month. There's going to be a lot of Pioneers leaving. Stay with us. Well, there we have it. Hello, everyone, and welcome into another rockin' awesome Saturday night, as we say. My name's Rick Fearon. I'm up here in the great state of Massachusetts, right outside of Boston, Massachusetts, and I'm so pleased. Man, am I pleased to see so many people coming into the Six Screens. It's just totally amazing. More and more people are leaving the Watchtower. They are in free fall. And aren't we all glad for that? I know I am. Well, anyways, I'm coming to you from the apostate capital of the world. We call it the epicenter of apostasy, right up here. And in fact, kind of like the Northeast is where a lot of these cults got going, including the Watchtower. But now this is the area, the Northeast, where more people are leaving the cults. So that's a good thing, isn't it? It's always good to see people leaving a cult, especially the Watchtower. Well, I have to say it's my favorite night of the week. I'm glad I can have you folks all come into my little corner here and we can discuss what's going on behind the curtains. You know, so many people have been touched by the tentacles of the Watchtower. And you just heard Anne Marie's program. That's the name of her program, Touched by the Tentacles of the Watchtower. And you heard people coming in, and there's millions of people, and not only people who were Jehovah's Witnesses, but people who were touched by the tentacles that never were a Jehovah's Witness. How about a husband who never was a witness married to a Jehovah's Witness woman? He would have been touched by the tentacles. So relatives are touched by the tentacles when their relatives don't want to come to Christmas parties or don't want to associate with them because they consider them to be worldly. So there's millions of people that have been, sad to say, touched by the tentacles of the Watchtower. And I have to tell you, I've been doing this program now going on 17 years, and I have never seen the upbeat amount of people that are coming into the Six Screens. It's totally unbelievable. I would never have even thought years ago they would have this many people listening into our program, thousands of people from all over the world. Not just here in the United States, but pretty much worldwide. They call into our program, they listen into our program, and it's really, really amazing this is all happening. But you know, the Watchtower is getting very paranoid. Man, have you been reading some of the Watchtower articles lately, like the study edition? I don't blame you if you don't, but I do it for the news because I want to keep you guys up to speed on what's going on. Now, this fascinating thing is in the study article coming up here very shortly. I believe it's the October study article, I believe. I seem to have lost it here. But the October study article, I believe, it has to deal with how paranoid the Watchtower is getting and how they're feeling about all of the PMOs. Now, they know there's so many PMOs showing up at the Kingdom Hall, showing up on Zoom. Now, what is a PMO? I know you guys all know it, but if a person's listening in and doesn't, a PMO is an acronym. It's for physically in, mentally out. So we have a lot of Jehovah's Witnesses that are physically in In other words, they go to the meetings in a perfunctory way, but they really are mentally out. They don't believe, their mind can't let them believe that the Watchtower is for real, but they're just going through the motions because they don't want to get disfellowshipped. And you know what happens when someone gets disfellowshipped? They get shunned, and that isn't a very pleasant thing. So the Watchtower, the governing body, the powers to be at the Watchtower organization, they know darn well there are thousands, millions of PMOs that are in the organization right now, and they don't know who they are, and they're wondering, but they know they're there. And they also know that all the apostates out there, people like myself, and even many of you guys are even calling into the program, you're trying to expose the Watchtower, aren't you? I know you are, and you're listening in here. So we're all actively working together to expose them. So the Watchtower knows there's tons of apostates, plus the Watchtower also knows there's tons of opposers. These are people that never were witnesses, but say enough of those guys. They've heard about them through all of these various television and radio programs that they've been having on the witnesses in the last few years. So the Watchtower right now has a lot of enemies. So we're in good company. Us apostates are in good company. And plus we have governments. Oh, my goodness. We've got governments coming down on the Watchtower. Norway, Sweden. I mean, Russia's a good example, maybe a little extreme, but all of these countries that are coming down heavy on the Watchtower and saying, hey, enough is enough. You guys have got twisted, warped reasoning. So anyways, the article in the Watchtower that I believe they're studying this week, it has to deal with, watch out for these ridiculers. There's going to be a lot of people that are speaking up against the Watchtower. And I'm going to go specifically here. Well, paragraph 10, well, let's go right here. Paragraph, well, I won't read it per se right from the Watchtower, but I kind of just paraphrase it so we can kind of get through this pretty quick. So they don't want you listening to anything from apostates. They realize that if you're not careful, you could very easily develop a very critical spirit and begin to doubt Jehovah in the direction that you're receiving information from the Watchtower. So they're telling you to be very careful who you're even associating with, not just with people on the outside, people at work or anyone that might have even left a Watchtower. Heaven's sakes, don't associate with them. But they're actually suggesting here to somewhat not even be involved with people in the congregation that aren't speaking good about the Watchtower. So that must be going on a lot. There must be a lot in the congregation that are ridiculers too, and saying certain things. And even in the article, it goes on to say you have to avoid all of these ridiculers. But this is what I find very fascinating. And this is what I find is really ticking the witness organization off. They know darn well that there's a lot of negativism that's floating around the congregation today. And why wouldn't there be? They've been changing all kinds of direction, new doctrine, new ways of doing business. So they're saying in this Watchtower article if nobody seems to want to go along with the new direction from the organization or the organization's explanations, you don't want to associate with that person. So this shows me there's a lot of people that don't want to go along with the new direction from the Watchtower. They don't want to go along with the explanations of the new direction from the Watchtower. So they're also saying here to make sure that you're inclined to follow those taking the lead. Friends, there's got to be big trouble in the Watchtower when you start seeing things like this, emphatic statements that you don't want to be inclined in finding fault with those that are taking the lead. Of course, that would be the elders. So I'm just thinking, this is something that we want to watch closely, because I've been reporting here on JW World News every single week that we come on. I'm telling you about Watchtower articles. I'm talking about streaming off of jw.org, some of the articles on jw.org. There's two themes. There's two general themes or threads that the Watchtower right now is working with. And the two threads would be they're looking for more money, constantly asking for money. And the other thread has to do with stay away from ridiculers, from apostates. Don't get near them. And also, you could add in that same line of thinking to be obedient to the organization, no matter what they tell you, even if it sounds foolish, to be obedient. So that's something I wanted to bring up tonight, but I bring it up every week. But in many ways, I like this news. I like this news because it shows evidently many people are listening to the apostates. Many people are listening to the ridiculers. So that's good. I don't ever remember when I was a witness back in the 90s of articles saying don't listen to apostates. They had a few from time to time, but not on the scale that they're having these articles today. So I want to bring that up and let you guys know that we must be making some points. And I want to encourage all the people doing YouTube. I want to encourage all the people that are posting on forums. I want to encourage all the people on Facebook and the Facebook groups. Keep up the good work. Keep up the good work because it's working. We are getting people out of this organization and they are leaving big time. The mass exodus has begun. The Watchtower is hemorrhaging. Yeah, so there you have it. So another thing that I wanted to mention tonight that is going to tick a lot of pioneer witnesses off. Holiday joy to the pioneers. Yes. Well, I got a letter from Atlantis, that insider from the Watchtower, just recently. And the article says that they're going to now start making hourly requirements again for regular pioneers. Now, if you think the numbers have been created at meetings, wait till you see how many pioneers are going to leave after hearing about this letter and after knowing that the numbers for hours are going up. Now, I'm going to read you here. Listen, this is the letter verbatim. It was dated December 12th. Well, that's just a week or so ago, right? So elders are to meet with regular pioneers as soon as possible and review their progress. So what they're saying is our requirements for regular pioneers as soon as possible. And the body of elders should assign 2 elders to meet with the regular pioneers in the congregation to read to them the announcement for regular pioneers. The 2 elders should use this opportunity to commend, offer encouragement, and share practical suggestions as to the pioneer's resume and a full-time ministry schedule. All right, so they're going to sit down with each pioneer. Preferably 2 elders are going to sit down and have a discussion with you if you are a pioneer. And it doesn't stop there. And then the overseer, service overseer, is going to get involved. And he's going to review the pioneer's field service activity. He's going to sit you down, talk with you, and you're going to explain to him how you are going to get these hours in. Now, is it evident that a pioneer does not have a practical schedule? If you don't have a schedule, they're going to get on your case. So they want to know how you're going to get your hour requirements in. Because remember, during COVID, they relaxed all the hours for pioneers. You could be a pioneer and not even have to report 1 hour. And many witnesses did that. So what's going to happen now when they have to report hours? We are going to see the pioneers will be dropping off like flies. I mean, don't you think so? It only stands to reason. So now what are the hours? Well, it doesn't really suggest it here, but some of the thoughts I've been getting online and some of the forums and what have you it's kind of leaking out that they're looking for 70 hours a month again. 70 hours a month. Now that's a lot of hours. That's like that's a part-time job, really. So 70 hours a month is what it looks like. I could be wrong. It could be 50, but I believe they're going to 70. But you're going to have to meet with the service overseer, and you're going to have to sit down and make it very clear to him that you're serious about pioneering. And you're going to have to tell him how you're planning on getting the so-called, I guess, 70 hours a month in. Now, that's really something. I don't ever remember that type of stringent policy in the Watchtower. I mean, where they're going to sit down with you and kind of demand, how you're going to get this time in. The wording here in this letter, it surprises me that they must be anticipating for many regular pioneers to leave. That must be what they're thinking, because they wouldn't have such a stringent, potent letter of so-called encouragement. I mean, this is going to be a kick in the pants to many pioneers. They're going to say, that's it. So 70 hours is what I do believe, as I say. Now, we'll have to see how that all works out. But, that's not totally, 70 is a lot of hours, really, especially in today's day and age. Can you imagine going door to door, knocking on doors all over the neighborhood where people are slamming the door in your face? They know about the Jehovah's Witnesses. They know how evil they are in covering up child sex abuse. They've seen the TV documentaries. They've seen it. So you're going to be getting doors slammed in your face all over the place. You're not going to be getting people receptive at all to your message. So that is something oh my goodness. In fact, I'll tell you what, it's enough to give a person an anxiety attack. Can you imagine being a pioneer now and you were able to skate for the last few years? Oh, I get 10 hours in a month, 12 hours in a month. Now they're going to want this unusual amount of hours. It's not as bad as it used to be. I can remember back in the 90s, in fact, one would have to get 90 hours a month in. That's a lot. It's about 25 years ago. You had to get 90 hours in as they were getting closer and closer to Armageddon. So I think we can all assume, I believe we can all assume, that there won't be that many people signing up for regular pioneering. I don't think there's going to be many itching to get back out there again. But and another reason why I can really emphatically state this, we are going to talk about the Gen Zs and the millennials. Well, there's this Gen Zs and millennials in the organization. They're not into pioneering. They're not even into the truth, so to speak, as we would say. They want to get away from it. These people, most of the Gen Zs and millennials, most of them are, they know Watchtower is crazy, but they're just hanging on. They're living in mom and dad's basement, and they're young, so they don't want any part of this. And they're not going to. The Watchtower, as years behind, they would always get young ones to pioneer, just like Hitler did, bringing people into his SS troops, train them when they're little. So now we're seeing that the Gen Zs, they're not going to get involved with this. The millennials, they're figuring this all out. So anyways, just to give you an idea, you might say, well, Rick, what would a person, how old would a Gen Z person be? Well, Gen Z is known, it's short for Zoomers. So it's the Gen Zoomers. And they came about, they were born in the late 1990s and right up to the year 2010. So from the mid to late 90s to year 2010, that would be the Gen Zers. So, they're still relatively young. And then the millennials, well, they would be people that were born from the 1980s, early 80s, and going into the late mid 90s to early 2000s. So they're fairly young too. But, this is how I'm looking at it. They're not going to get them. They're going to go after retired people. I know they used to do that. But now that you're retired, Brother Fearon, you could pioneer, and Jehovah would really appreciate that. So they're not going to get young ones. They might get old ones, but there was no hourly requirement, as we said, for pioneers during COVID. So they had an increase in regular pioneers. Now, the hourly requirement being reinstated, there's now going to be a decrease in regular pioneers. There's no doubt about it. And I can't believe that the Watchtower would even put these restrictive time amounts, hours, and make it a requirement for pioneers who are volunteering. These are volunteers. These aren't paid people for the Watchtower. And, I'm just trying to show you a similarity here tonight. Now, you're seeing it right now when you go into the supermarket. You see the Salvation, you see the Salvation Army out there, and they're ringing the bells, right? You go into Walmart, you go into a store, and these are bell ringers for the Salvation Army. And people can become a volunteer to ring the bell. And the crazy thing about it, I got on the Salvation Army website this week, and I was trying to find out what goes on. How do you become a volunteer to ring the bell in front of that kettle? Well, all you have to do is simply sign up for a date, a time, and a location right off their website that says convenient for you. Would the Watchtower ever take that into consideration? Will they ever say, now listen, you can pioneer and you get as many hours in as you can and whatever's convenient for you? Well, would you ever expect to hear that from the Watchtower? Absolutely not. But the Salvation Hour says, yeah, Salvation Army, they say you want to ring the bell, you want to do something nice, you want to help people, you can do that in whatever's convenient for you. Now, I didn't realize this either, but you can get paid. You can get paid by the Salvation Army to ring a bell in front of the kettle. And I did not know that. I thought they were all volunteers. But you could make $11.31 an hour. That's about basically what they're paying right now. Now, many people who do ring the bell for the Salvation Army, they don't take the money. They do it on a volunteer basis. But they can tell the Salvation Army, gee, I can do that for a couple hours on Wednesday afternoon. Fine, that's wonderful. But they make no demands like the Watchtower, and then they'll even pay you. If you feel that would be necessary to get money, they'll pay you. Would the Watchtower ever do that to a pioneer? No way. It's your gas, it's your car, it's your insurance, it's everything. So, I'll tell you what, it's just amazing that we have two groups here, supposedly Christian groups. I don't think Watchtower, I know Watchtower isn't a Christian group, but what a difference. What a difference in the volunteer work. Boy, one will go out of their way to make it easy for you to volunteer and even pay you. The other one puts demands on you, and if you don't do it, you'll be brought into a back room and you'll be chastised. And if you don't get your hours in, you can't even answer a Watchtower comment. You can't comment on the Watchtower. Some privileges will be taken away from you. So I just can't wait to hear. I cannot wait to hear announcements in the Kingdom Hall. They're coming, and there's going to be thousands of them. Sister Lucy, she's no longer a regular pioneer. Brother Jimmy, no longer a regular pioneer. You are going to hear those announcements like crazy. So we'll open up the lines. What do you think? You're on JW World News. What you hear so far that got your attention? What would you like to talk about? You want to talk about the pioneer? Did you pioneer when you were in the organization? Did you like doing it? And go ahead. You're on with me. Go ahead.
Well, just real quick, I don't quite know what's going on. Are they back going door to door yet, or are they still just doing it over the phone?
Oh, I don't know. They're back door to door. 2 months ago, they started going back door to door.
Okay, I wasn't sure if they started back door to door or not.
Yeah, they're back out there, Mike. Okay. They're knocking on doors again all over the neighborhood, doing the carts as well. Okay. But they're doing it. Yeah. So now they're gonna. But during COVID, there was no hour requirement for the pioneers. Now they're gonna make hours requirements. I think.
Yeah, I understood that. But back to when you were talking about people having a problem with the new rulings and all that, maybe you've discussed this before. I don't listen all the time, but do you think some people might be upset about how they encouraged you to take that vaccinations? They were really staunch on you should take the vaccination. It's possible there's been some people that have had adverse side effects from it. I'm sure that has to cause. I gotta believe that could be a major.
Well, it is. I can't talk too much about it because we're on YouTube and they'll shut me down. But I will say that I will say that many thousands of Jehovah's Witnesses have left Mike because of that. Very, very demanding. In fact, we have some people have called into the program that have had problems when they took the shot. But thank you, Mike. Thanks for chiming in with us. Appreciate it. Always good to hear from you, buddy. Thank you. All right. Who else?
Hey, Rick?
Yes.
Hi, Rick.
Thank you, Rick.
Go ahead. No, you go ahead. You were first.
Oh, thank you. No, Rick, I just can't help but think, I don't know if I'm right or wrong, but I think this is like a witch hunt to get all of these pioneers together and make them aware of the new requirements going back to 50 or 60 or 70 hours a month to pioneer, and how do you plan to get in your hours. I think it's a kind of like when you're kind of trying to sift through the wheat. They want to know who's loyal. That's what the time slips are to me. They watch your hours, and if you start slipping, they see that as a sign of apostasy. This is a possible apostate. And that's what personally I think that this is at least a part of. They want to know who's loyal, what their attitude is, and show how loyal you are, how dedicated you are to Jehovah, aka Watchtower. Thank you, Rick.
Well, you're absolutely right, Anne-Marie. Any way they can get more control over you, the better. Just going to close my studio door here. All right, close that door. Keep the sound out. Yeah, any way they can get a hold of you and make you more subservient to the Watchtower, they're going to do it. And this could be a way to do it. I don't.
Hey, Rick.
Yes, hello.
I was going to say, this is Jeff. This is going to really hurt them because they're putting on pressure on people that they shouldn't be doing at this point in time. And I think it's going to backfire on them. That's my opinion.
Well, that opinion certainly deserves attention. It is going to backfire on them. And just stop and think about it. Well, we are in inflationary times. Everybody's not living like the governing body. Some people are scrounging around. There's people eating out of dumpsters, as a matter of fact, today because they can't afford the food. So now you're going to impose hours, which requires more money, more gas, more time. Now, a lot of these pioneers where the hours were relaxed, they had nice little jobs. They had a nice little job and they were able to pioneer at their own way of doing it, 10 hours a month or whatever. And they could have a nice job, even a full-time job. And that would, put some money in their pocketbook. But now they're going to have to give that job up. And when you sit down with the service overseer, he's going to say to you now, Sister Cindy, tell me now, how are you planning on getting your 70 hours a month in? I'm assuming it's 70. How are you going to get that 70 hours a month in, Cindy? Well, I'm going to get up early in the morning, Brother Jones, and I'm going to, take the train into Boston. And I'm going to make sure I'm there when people are getting on the subways. And you've got to explain how you're even going to get your time in. And kiss your job goodbye. And if you sit down with that service overseer and tell me you have, a full-time job, he's going to say, well, maybe, Cindy, you could cut that job back to like maybe half a part-time job. Jeez. And time, really?
Hey, Rick.
Yes.
It's not going to work, Rick.
Yes, it's not, Jay. Go ahead, sister.
Hi, Rick. It's Fran.
Yes, Fran.
And Joe. So I was auxiliary pioneering through COVID, and we still had to get our 50 hours, but I know all the pioneers, and we had at least 13 or 14, none of them were making their time, and they weren't even worried about it. They said, oh, it's so good. We don't have to worry about our time. We can relax, and, we don't have to go out and service. We're on Zoom. We we just can take it easy. So yes, it's gonna be really hard for them. Our own daughter and son-in-law and our son, it's going to be very, very difficult for them because, yeah, they're working, almost full-time jobs now, and I don't know how they're going to do it. Of course, we haven't talked to them. And one other thing, a little related but unrelated, our landlord said, he said, Jehovah's Witnesses, they came to my door, I got ring, and he said, I wasn't home. He said, they come twice. He says, I got him on ring. And it was one brother, same brother. And then the other time it was with our daughter. And because he knows our daughter. And so we said, well, if you don't want him to come, you either have to put a no trespassing sign signed. The sign has to be signed with your name, or just call up the Kingdom Hall and tell them that you want to be taken off of the list. And he says, yeah, I've got a private driveway and everything. I don't want people to come to my door, especially I'm not home. He's been away. Anyway, so we made that known to our daughter, and she wanted to know who the person was, and we said, well, it's private. So we didn't want to tell him who it was. But anyway, a couple of different situations there with the service.
Yeah, well, what you said there got my attention, Fran. I mean, you were getting your time and you were getting your 50 hours a month and others weren't. But now, if you were sitting in as an official of the Watchtower, wouldn't it stand to reason if you relaxed and kept the relaxed amount of hours for pioneers, that you'd have more pioneers, and in the long run, you'd even get more time in? Wouldn't you think that would be more sensible?
You would think so, yeah. And even ones like the regular auxiliary, they could be pioneering and they wouldn't have to worry about their time. But I just stayed, regular auxiliary, got the 50 hours in every month, right up until the month we woke up. And as soon as we woke up, I just called up the elder and I said, I have to take some time off. I've been doing this for 5 years. I'm 70 years old. I'm getting older. And I just need to, kind of back off. And then everything went downhill from there. But that was the first thing I did, was I just called them up and said, hey, I'm not going to be doing this anymore.
Oh, good for you. Good for you. So, yeah. So see, you were willing to go along with them, and you were willing to even do what they suggested to do, but many didn't. But, even I was even thinking, in fact, a person got me some information today that he was a pioneer, and he just pioneered because there was no hour requirement. So how many witnesses did that? He told me that he pioneered because there was no hour requirement. So why not? I'm going to join the forces, but he's not going to stay in. There's going to be, you're going to hear a big rushing noise of pioneers getting out the door. I'll tell you, it's going to be unreal.
That's true.
Well, thank you, friend. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, friend. Go ahead. You're on with us.
Well, I can say this. When I was a witness, I always got more enjoyment and a larger sense of fulfillment in the public ministry when I wasn't pioneering. Because I always felt like I had a more proper balance of life away from the hall and life within it. But when I had to have these rigid hourly requirement settlements, like, it just made me miserable, because I was constantly worrying about, having to wake up when I haven't gotten much sleep, having to worry about what counts as service time and what doesn't, having to focus heavily on things like the Pioneer Shuffle so I can artificially extend my service time. I mean, it's just joyless. It's utterly, utterly joyless. And if you felt a little bit behind due to, time and unforeseen occurrence because of circumstances that just popped up out of nowhere, which does happen, that just puts even more stress on you. And which is why I never did it regularly. I only did it every so often, and it always just wore me out, because life is hard enough as it is.
Oh, that's for sure. That's for sure. And it was, I like what you said, there was no joy. How can there be joy in a work like that? That is, even if it was a paid work, it wouldn't be fun. People wouldn't take the job.
And I'm talking about, this was over a decade ago when the situation here in the United States was far better. We weren't having these inflationary problems like we're having right now. It's 10 times more unreasonable to make these 50-hour, 70-hour requirements on Jehovah's Witnesses in the here and now, especially considering how most of these people don't have very high-paying jobs to begin with. It's just a bunch of janitors and window washers and things of this nature, because Watchtower basically expects you to take an oath of poverty for the sake of, because they don't want you focusing your attention on anything else.
Well, that's a darn good point, and that point has to really be brought out even more. That's cruel, and it's unusual that a religious organization would do that to people. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, well, I found a lot of joy being a regular pioneer. I used to study with my ex-girlfriend, and I was very regular in my pioneering, and it was the greatest time of my life. But all seriousness, you also have to remember that what about all of those pioneers who are not pioneers? They fake the hours. In our congregation in the Spanish, there were so many elders that were pioneers, and you knew there was no way they could get those kind of hours in. So if you're connected in the organization, you're hip, you're an elder, or you do the social thing. There's so many of them that just there was no way they could have full-time jobs and still be regular pioneers. But they got a pass. But your average Joe, the person who has no privileges other than just being a pioneer, yeah, they may get scrutinized. But I never saw elders scrutinized when you knew darn well that they weren't regular pioneers.
Well, good comment, Gilbert. Always good to hear from you. Always good to hear from you.
Good night.
Thank you. All right, who's next?
Yeah.
Go ahead. Yes.
Just
Yeah.
a quick
Oh,
thought.
hi, Dick. Yep.
Just a quick thought. I concur with those last two callers immensely. Just for the audience knowledge, the Watchtower made over $2 billion on sales of property in Brooklyn. Do you think they could give each pioneer $20 a day? Out here in California, a gallon of gas is $6. So if you gave them a 20 and they used, 2 gallons of gas, it'd be $12. And maybe they could, stop in at Dunkin' Donuts or Burger King or something and get a little something. It would at least let the pioneers know that the Watchtower cares about them. The fact is, the Watchtower doesn't care about anybody personally. They just want the money, and they just want you out there building new Kingdom Halls. That's really what it is. Thanks, Rick.
Well, that's exactly what it is. It's exactly what it is, Dick. And I think it's really unfair that you have a so-called Christian organization that's expecting. Now, when you sign up too, they're going to scrutinize you. You're going to get those hours in. And if you don't, you're going to be penalized. Now, never mind even getting a reward for working. But if you don't do it, you're going to be penalized. And they'll bring you in the back room. Just miss your hours for 1 month. They might cut you some slack if you have a good enough reason. But you do it 2 months in a row, they'll call you in the back room. Now, Brother Jones, we're going to have to restrict you. You will not be able to comment during the Watchtower. So they'll come up with some type of a penalty against you. And geez, look at the stress, like that brother who just called in. Look at the anxiety that it puts upon the witnesses. Who can live a life like that? Now, no wonder why there's all kinds of depression and alcoholism and medication going around in that organization. Who can live a life like that? And as I said, the Salvation Army, you want to help us? You only can spend 2 hours on Wednesday afternoon? Fine. Whatever's convenient for you. And even if you need a few extra bucks, we'll pay you $11.31 an hour. Jeez, that's a loving organization, right? Boy,
I hear you. And that New York real estate deal was billion with a B. And I have a question. I have a question about pioneering and baptism. it would be fraudulent and scary and wrong for people to give their social security number out if they were pioneers or at their baptism. Does anyone know of cases where that has happened?
Well, I never pioneered. I believe I did auxiliary pioneer once, but I don't think you have to give your social security number. Is that what you're saying? Who would you give your social security?
Yeah, I'd like to know if anybody has heard that rumor or did that at baptism or pioneering, because I'm looking at how to scam proof people, and I'm looking at that. And I heard someone tell me that once, and I thought that would be a danger to do that. So I'm wondering if there's any other sources on that from anyone that's ever been baptized as a witness or pioneered.
Well, that's interesting, Pixie. I never heard of it. No, I know in the United Kingdom, the witnesses don't have to share their data, even though the Watchtower is saying that. In other words, the United Kingdom is saying, look, you don't have to share your data with anybody, even your religious organization. But then the Watchtower comes back because there's a loophole in the law in the United Kingdom for data information. It says that if a person volunteers, that's okay. So the Watchtower coerces people. Well, you'll sign up. So I don't believe they have to give their social security, but they have to give their telephone number, where they live, how old they were, when they were born, all of this stuff, Yeah.
Right. But I just put the question out there. If anybody knows if they've ever experienced that, I'd like to know. There's something called with corporations, it has a crazy name. It's called a dead peasants policy. And there's a way that corporations can get money from employees, but they have to have their social number. And this isn't good.
Well, no, it wouldn't be good. But I don't know if that applies to the Watchtower or not. But I mean, don't give them any ideas. They might start wanting to do that. Jeez.
Right.
I was a pioneer 35 years or so ago. They never asked my social or at baptism. I was a regular pioneer for a year. I don't ever remember that being asked.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, the person that told me this was probably just barely got out of a scam then.
Yeah, well, that could have been the case too, but I wouldn't. There's no way. I mean, if the Watchtower, well, what they do ask for now, they may have been mixing it up a little bit. I know that the Watchtower has got a lot of people on automatic debit. Now, the Watchtower is taking funds out of people's bank account every month. I don't believe you have to give the Watchtower your social security number, but you have to give them your bank number. And of course, the bank has a social security, but I don't believe you have to give it that way. But I never heard of it. We'll see what happens, Pixie. Maybe somebody has heard of it.
That's the one they're not getting. They're not getting my bank number for sure.
All right,
well,
good.
Thank you.
All right. Yes.
If I can ask, I was going to say real fast. Yeah, I mean, when you're indoctrinated in that cult, you'll give them all your private information. I mean, I've been there, so that's my comment on that. You won't hesitate giving your social, your bank number.
Yeah, your phone is muffled up, Jeff. We can't hear that good, but I know what you're saying. But I'll tell you what. If the Watchtower, the Watchtower asked the brothers and sisters for their social security number, they'll all give it to them in a heartbeat. They wouldn't hesitate.
Yes,
hey, if they can get people to sign a no blood card, which could mean your death, they're going to have no problem. Hey, could you give us your social security number? I did really, and then the suckers would give it to them. They really
give
would.
it in a minute.
Yeah, you got it. Thank you, Jeff. Wow, my goodness gracious. Well, I mean, that's what's going on behind the curtains. And I think it's totally unreasonable, unchristian, even though they're not Christians, and unloving to put people out in the field service with just tell them what you demand from them. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, just a quick thought. There's a lot of porch pirates out here in California, and somebody was shot recently. Those Jehovah's Witnesses coming onto people's property and going up to their door, they could really get confused with a porch pirate, and it could be very, very detrimental to them. I just thought I'd throw that out there.
Well, thank you for throwing that out there, because we discussed not the porch pirates. and I know what you're talking about. And why don't you tell the audience what a porch pirate is, Dick?
Yeah, it's somebody that follows a UPS, a FedEx truck around. They see a package being delivered to somebody's front porch, and as soon as the FedEx truck drives away, they jump out of their car and they run down the driveway, grab the box, throw it in their car, and they take off. That's a porch pirate, and it's very popular at Christmas.
Oh, you're absolutely right. So, yeah, we mentioned here on the program last week, it's so unsafe to even go out in the field service these days because people, you're an uninvited guest. And years ago, people liked an uninvited guest. They liked the Avon lady. They liked the Fuller Brush man. They liked the milkman, the bread man. They liked all of these people coming to your door. It was kind of a fun thing. Not anymore. Uninvited guests could be shot. And people are paranoid, Dick. And with all the crime and sex perverts and everything else out there, I'm afraid. I live in a complex here that has doors that are guarded and doors that have locks on it. And before my door is knocked on, I have to look out and see who it is. I just don't open it to anybody, Yes. Yeah. So that's a different world we're living in. Yeah, go ahead.
Hi, Rick. Regarding Social Security numbers, I don't have the facts and I don't have a clear memory, but I do remember Mike and Kim on YouTube doing a piece about how the Watchtower would tell elders and different ones, if you ever get questioned, you don't represent the Watchtower. And then they pulled up these forms for different ones to fill out as an employee, as a legal employee or some kind of word, basically being connected to this corporation, and they had to do all their information, their personal information. My thought regarding Social Security numbers is that, we know that corporations are not above taking out life insurance policies on their employees, and they don't tell anybody. So Watchtower could be doing this or could have been doing this or very well might do it without telling anybody. The rank and file, as it is, don't really seem to know what the heck they're doing behind their back. They're already grabbing all the property and the money by any means necessary. And this is a completely legal method. You can take out an insurance policy. The person dies. You show the policy. You've paid it up. Get the money. Thank you, Rick.
Oh, there's going to be all kinds. They could really, the Watchtower is evil. And as the world would go on, I believe they're going to get more evil. And it's only a matter of time that they'll be robbing money from the brothers and sisters. You've given these guys an inch, they'll take a mile. They really, really will. Already they're coercing. They're embezzling money from people. Leave us your house. Leave us your jewelry. Leave us your stocks, your insurance policies, all of that stuff. That's embezzlement. They're being coerced. And any good trial lawyer would see that. But the Watchtower, I can remember I had an older couple over for supper one night at my house years ago. And they were in their 80s, late 70s. And I can remember them saying they just came into the organization. They were only in a few years. And at the supper table, I almost choked over my food. They said that they're leaving their house to the Watchtower. And they asked me if I thought it was a good idea. Geez, I almost choked. I said, you guys have children. You guys have children. You guys have children. Why don't you leave it to your children? We got some lines open here, friends. Just be careful. Your line's open. We can hear you talking over your line.
Good for you, Rick.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna. Yeah, we're gonna mute. Listen, folks. What you want to do is when you're done speaking, you want to hit *6 again. If you want to speak up, you hit *6. But don't leave the line open because it makes it very. We can hear people talking in the background, TVs and what have you. So remember to do that. That would help me out a lot. You hit *6 when you come on. That'll unmute you. And then you hit *6 again, and that will mute you so we can't hear everything that's going on. Yeah, so I believe as the world's going to go on, we're going to does someone else want to speak up? Go ahead. You're on with us.
Hey, Rick.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
Go ahead. We got area code
Can you hear
2.
me?
Yeah, area code 213. You're on with us. Go ahead.
Yeah, Rick, I was wondering, did they discontinue the Awake magazine?
Not totally. They're not printing 12 editions a year. They're not doing that anymore. They're down to, from what I understand, and don't hold me on it, but I believe they're down to maybe 3 or 4 issues a year. But they're more or less, what they're doing is they're reprinting older articles, and it's not even like fresh new information. So it's the Awake magazine is basically a dead duck. Yep.
Okay, because I was just wondering if they're pioneering, were they taking the Watchtower and the Awake, or just the Watchtower, or?
Well, basically, no. It's they have the Watchtower, but they only have about well, the study edition. They don't give that out to the public. They have 12 of those printed a year, but the regular Watchtower, they're down to 3 or 4, public Watchtowers. So they're not. But they're not interested in getting people to take literature. They're interested in getting people to go on jw.org. If you approach any Jehovah's Witness today, even when they come to your door, their main objective is to get you to get on jw.org. And these people are not Bible teachers like we had to know years ago. These people are salespeople for jw.org. They're promoters of jw.org. You have any questions? Here, scan it on your phone, get in there, and they'll have all your questions answered. That's how they're handling it. That's the ministry today. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's what they're
Thanks,
doing.
Rick.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Well, there you go. I tell you. Thank you. Well,
Rick?
yeah, yes, go ahead.
Going along with what Anne Marie said a little while ago about, them being able to legally take out life insurance. I used to be an insurance agent, and they can also buy an addendum as if you die by an accident, you can add on $250,000 or something to it with no problem. And as the Watchtower Society does get more evil, there might be an uptake on witnesses that suddenly have fatal accidents and are just something similar to that, because eyewitnesses have passed them based on past problems. Of arranging something like that happening, like cutting brake lines or whatever they do to
Well,
make people have an accident.
Well, I'll tell you, no, what Debbie, you're raising, that's a darn good. I never thought of that. But that would be a great source of revenue for the Watchtower. Why don't you, because you can buy life accident insurance pretty cheap. Even me at 74 years old, I get in the mail all the time. Buy life insurance for like $20 a month for you get $200,000. And the thing would be, the Watchtower could use this as a great source of revenue. Take out a life insurance, an accidental life insurance policy, and make us the beneficiary of the policy. And when you die, it goes to the Watchtower. Geez, I'll tell you, Debbie, don't get them thinking. Don't get them thinking they would do something like that. I'll tell you.
It just crossed my mind because I used to be an insurance agent.
Yeah.
And a lot of people would tax $250,000 for $5 a month, and it's way cheaper than regular life insurance, but still, that just made me think of that.
Well, something.
And yes, they make a heck of a lot of money.
Well, I'll tell you, I'm sure they're already doing it, not in that sense, maybe, but they have right around now. You can get into the jw.org site, and they have what they call a giving desk. And it's always around now. They really promote it around November and December. Why is that? Because of Christmas. People get in a giving mood. So they ask you to, you can give anything. You can give life insurance policies, jewelry, property. In fact, even rewards from your credit card. That's a lot to people. People like the idea they spend, $100 on their credit card and they get, 2 or 3% back on a reward. That's meaningful. They like that idea, but they even will take those from you. They'll take your Walgreens rewards. They'll take your bank rewards. They're asking for those too. Jeez, there's nothing these guys wouldn't do, but they're terrible. Thank you, Debbie, for commenting on that. That's good.
I was going to say one more thing about that.
Yeah.
If there's any current Jehovah's Witnesses listening right now, do not sign your property over to the Watchtower Society, because you might be signing a document also agreeing to let them take out life insurance on you. And then suddenly, the house burns down and you can't get out or something like that. And here they're getting your property, they're getting your insurance, they don't have to fool with you anymore. So, I mean, it's just, there's so many terrible, man, I shouldn't even be thinking of these things.
Well, don't think, we're not going to, I don't want to give my ideas. Thank you, Debbie. All right, we all done. Anyone else want to chime in before we move to the next stories? You're on with us. Go ahead.
I would like
to
say something.
Yeah, go ahead.
You there?
Yeah, I'm here. Yep.
Okay. This is Eric from Nashville, but I was born or raised in Rhode Island. But I wanted to say, I know I'm backpedaling a little bit, but I wanted to say about being a pioneer. I was one for a year, and I'd like to tell my story. I've kind of told it already, either with you or Chad, I don't remember. But I'm going to go into a little more detail with it. When I was pioneering, I was engaged to be married. So, the life struggles with that, needing money and working part-time. But anyways, I went to pioneer school, and I'm in a piece of crap car. It's like a 1982 Lincoln Ford. I don't remember which. It overheated a lot. You have to constantly put antifreeze in it. And I went there with that car with an elder who was much older than me and married and had money. He was actually a window cleaner, believe it or not. But he had his own business and he did pretty good. And he made me drive. And he's like, oh, I remember back in the day when I had to top off my fluids constantly. And so then I get there. Tony Morris is my instructor, and this other guy, Sheldon. And he goes on to tell us about an affair that happened, and tells everybody that a man had committed adultery, and he basically was shunning him in front of all of us. It was really inappropriate. I ended up working on the man's car for free, Tony Morris, because I was in the early stages of auto body. And my point being is that this was just complete abuse. Let's abuse the guy who's getting married, who's struggling in life to get going, and just take him down. And I thought I would share that. I can't see how anybody would, in their right mind, would want to pioneer having the 70 hours. And I just thought I would bring that up, Rick.
Well, I bet you, Eric, when you worked on, what was it, Tony Morris's car, you probably didn't even get a pat on the back.
Not really. He asked me if I could put the wheel on a buffer, and I said I'm not there yet. I just did some slight work on it. But,
yeah.
Yeah, it was like it wasn't enough.
Oh no, that's what the witnesses would always expect. They'd expect you. Well, gee, he's a plumber, he's a carpenter, and many times, you would go over and help the people, and you do it for free, but they wouldn't even thank you. And then the next stage of meeting, they make a comment at the Watchtower that, oh, how Jehovah helped them, and not even mention the brother that helped them. That's what they would do. Terrible. It's terrible. Yeah. Oh, well, thank you for sharing that story, Eric. Thank you for chiming in with us tonight.
No problem, Rick. I love your program, and keep up the good work, my brother.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. All right. Well, anyways, that's Eric. It's always good to hear from people. And wow, I'll tell you, we have a lot of people coming in here tonight. But let's move on. We'll go to the next story here. And I just wanted to bring this up because I'm gonna make this statement. I'm gonna make it a headline. What caused the downfall of the Watchtower? So you're probably saying, well, Rick, it hasn't really fell yet. Well, I say the Watchtower is dead. It just hasn't fell yet. They've had a downfall. This is not the same organization that your grandfather had. This isn't. This is a cult organization more than ever. And I'm going to tell you, you say, well, what really caused the downfall? What was it that did it? What's the ingredient? What's the bomb? What's the weapon that was used to bring the Watchtower down? Well, they imploded from within. That's when they rolled out their website and joined the ranks of all of these other materialistic religious charlatans. And they became money begging televangelists. That's what they became. And the stuff that the governing body says on their live streaming on their jw.org, it's entertaining, it's laughable. But what I wanted to say, at one time, before the internet, before the JW streaming, jw.org, you had to have publications. Publications were the only way that you could really come connected to the Jehovah's Witnesses. And now you're getting to see you're getting to see some of the officials of the Watchtower on streaming. We never saw these officials before. We did not even know who the governing body was. But now we get to see these mules, I'll call them mules, in their fat cult leader glory. Yeah, all of them. We're now getting to see the governing body up front and center. And boy, when you see Stephen Lett, remember just a couple of months ago, and he's on there calling little babies enemies of God. I mean, that didn't go over well with the witnesses. They didn't like that at all. A lot of witnesses left because of that stupid statement, little babies are enemies of God. So the internet, especially their broadcasting, JW streaming, now you can see and you can hear what the governing body are really like. And a lot of what you're hearing is very unpleasant. Now, there's something, I'm going to tell you something. This rattled my cage a little bit. I believe it rattled yours too, but we got to roll the clocks back to 2015. And we got to remember that convention video that was disgusting. And we played portions of it. And back in 2015, they had a video that they played at the regional convention, and it was about a disfellowshipped daughter trying to ring her mother on the telephone. And remember, the mother was ignoring the call. Here you had a young girl, 17 years old, maybe 18, and she was getting in trouble. She had a boyfriend, so she was disfellowshipped in the video. And then she was out on the street, nowhere to go, no food, no money. And she's dialing her mother. She's texting and trying to ring her mother on the telephone for help. And the mother just, boom, hangs the phone up. That daughter was in need of, she was in serious trouble, and she needed help from her mother and her father, and they turned a deaf ear. That video, and now we're now learning that many Jehovah's Witnesses left the organization in view of that video and how heinous, how evil, despicable it was. So that woke a lot of the brothers and sisters up when they see such inhumane action. That was inhumane. You don't do that to a person. A young girl like that, especially out on the street, anything could have happened. But it brought home to many, many witnesses, and even us ex-witnesses, when we saw it, it brought home how wicked and cruel the policy of shunning is. It's terrible. So we have this JW broadcasting, and of course, we're now seeing, as we say, the governing body. See, those guys, they don't belong on radio, let alone on basically TV. They're a big embarrassment. And, the internet, before the streaming, the Watchtower, it was easy for them to brainwash people by only allowing them to read books, their books. So they were able to do it. And they tried to be really cool and sophisticated now that you can see them, and they're not. They're not cool, and they're not in any way sophisticated using this platform. And see, one thing they don't know, when they come on, now even some of the older publications, and we've caught them doing this, some of the older publications, of course, they don't want you to have them. They got rid of most of them from Kingdom Halls. They burned a lot of the older publications because of things that were said in them. But now we have a whole new empire here with them on jw.org and streaming. It's all digital, and people are copying this. People are saving this. and they're coming on and they're making all kinds of statements. And now we see what they're doing on their streaming platform is they're going back and they're trying to correct things that they said prior because they made a mistake. They said something that didn't go over well, like that enemies of God. I believe that's taken down now. So because it just didn't go over well when Let called little babies enemies of God. Basically, he was saying they're enemies until they get to know Jehovah. But see, the golden rule, there's a golden rule on the internet. And the Watchtower officials to be, they might not be getting it yet, but the golden rule of the internet never forgets. It never forgets. It's taken everything down. It's there to time indefinite. And people copy this stuff and they have it. And a lot of those videos they even corrected or took down even. People have them and they're still showing up all over YouTube. So this broadcasting, in my estimation, really changed the dynamics of the Watchtower. I believe it was their broadcasting that started their fall. And remember, when they were just reading books and they didn't have the internet and the broadcasting, I'm going to make this statement: indoctrination works differently when you read it versus watch it. Yeah. In other words, when you're reading, your mind is involved and deeply enthralled in the information. But when you're watching one of these buffoons like Stephen Lett, Tony Morris, David Splain, Hurd, when you see these guys, oh my goodness, that's all you have to do is see them and you say, that is it. But, back in the 90s and even the early 2000s, no one really knew the governing body members or even their names. And many, many of you may have felt that. I didn't know it back in the 90s when I was in. I didn't know all the governing body's names. I know them now. But now everyone knows who they are because they see them on JW Broadcasting. And the thing is, these old men have really exposed themselves to this strategy of going on and doing this, and they're right up front and center. And they don't show any humility. I'm sorry. They have no humility at all. They come on as straight, evil-minded men. So, the Watchtower, they are in a real situation because I can remember even when we were witnessing, and you folks will agree with me on this, I'm sure. When I was going door to door back in the 90s and the 80s, we had a sense of pride. Jehovah's Witnesses had a sense of pride. And, we weren't walking around with our nose in the air, but we had a sense of pride because we knew how other religions, specifically the Catholics, on how they treated their leaders, like the Pope is what we would say. And we would always say that, well, we don't treat our leaders, we don't even know who they are. They're humble. And yet, in other religions, they want to let you know. Well, that's what the governing body is doing, the same thing today. So I think that it's interesting that the Watchtower decided to take this course and they're having trouble. Yes, go ahead.
I was going to say, these clowns would have been better off to stay in the dark. And like they were in the 90s and 2000s, they've come out and people have seen what they are. in what they do. And I guess that's my comment there, Rick.
Well, right now you can see them, Jeff. You can see them, and not one of them. And I'm not, I'm going to go easy here on them. I mean, they're just men like I am. We're all imperfect men. Men. Yeah, go ahead.
Just to make a couple of comments regarding that infamous Stephen Lett clip. I think it explains perfectly why their policies on child protection, namely when it comes to child abuse, are just so terrible. Because when you make a comment like babies are enemies of God, how can you say that you love children? That's the attitude of someone who I'm sorry to say, despises children. And it really does explain why their policies are so terrible. And secondly, it really exposes how insecure their God, the God that they worship, truly is, if a baby is considered an enemy of God. That's all I got to say.
Well, that's a mouthful. That's true, and that I don't know who put that together, but for them to come on their JW site and live stream that, geez, that backfired in their face. Yeah. So, well, thank you for chiming in. So, yeah, I'm saying that the reason for the Watchtower downfall, and it is down. It's down. It's not the same organization, and the reason for it, I'm saying, is because it's the governing body. The more you see of them, the more you want to get away from this organization. So there you have it. That's my thought, not just my opinion. Just my opinion. You might have a different opinion. So, anyways, I came across this as well. This one guy, he's the official spokesman for the Watchtower organization. His name is Robert Hendricks. And we bring up Hendricks here quite a bit because he's really getting under my skin. And he's getting under your skin too. This guy is nothing more than a snake. And he's like a used car salesman. I'm not going to pick on used car salesmen, but I mean a deceptive used car salesman. So he's going all around the country. And what they're doing is they're going on these small town broadcast news stations. They're going on a bunch of live streaming events that people have. They're in newspapers all over the place. And I wanted to just bring this up. They were in a newspaper today as well. In fact, it was out in California, but it was showing witnesses going door to door here in Massachusetts. And Hendricks was even in the newspaper talking about how wonderful it is that the witnesses are now back and everything is hunky-dory and the people are really having open arms for the witnesses coming back into the field ministry. What a bunch of propaganda that is. That's not true. Who wants Jehovah's Witnesses knocking on their doors? Come on. Nobody does. But in that newspaper article that was sent to me, and I want to thank Dr. Richmond for sending me that. He's listening in here tonight, I know. And thank you, Dr. Richmond. I always appreciate you sending me things. But anyways, they're saying in that article how wonderful it is, and COVID was a real damper. The witnesses couldn't go out, but they did. They still kept up on going in service, writing letters. It was nothing but a big puff piece, a paid puff piece in a newspaper out there, and I believe it was Torrance, California. But that didn't tick me off as much as the video. I'm going to play you a video. Let me just kind of get this up as I'm talking to you. There's a video that came out with Hendricks. Now, this was on a live streaming platform somewhere in the Bronx in New York, but evidently a well-listened to live streaming event. And the witnesses are showing up everywhere they possibly can to try to get people to look at them in a positive way. So that's what this guy Hendricks is doing. Let me just get on here and make sure I got the right one here. Let me just hold on 1 second. Just give me a second to see where we are. Robert, okay, that's this one here. Yeah, what I do is I want to share this with you. I want you to be able to see this because this guy Hendricks is at it again, lying through his teeth. And it's really a shame that the Watchtower has to resort now to these liars because people are seeing it. Now, I'm going to play the clip, and what we'll do is we'll stop it. It's about a 7-minute clip, but I want you to hear it. if you're on our radio network, you'll hear it. If you're on our YouTubes and Facebook platforms, you'll see it. But I want you to hear it, and we'll stop because I was so fascinated. I listened to this a few times this week, and I'm going to tell you, it's funny in some respects. So we're going to share this now, and let me just make sure everything's in play here. Let me put this up, and we're going to make this bigger, and then we're going to share it. Now, this is what you're looking at. I do believe you can see it right now if you're on YouTube. Well, what you're looking at right here. Let me just make sure I got this up so we can see it. Hold on. All right, what you're looking at right here is a commentator. This is a commentator out of the Bronx. He's got a little radio program and a television program, really. So now what we have Hendrix is going to come on. But listen to this. You're going to be blown away. So let's listen to see what Hendrix has to say here. Let's listen in. Hold on 1 second. Let me get up here and get it moving.
Last guest is a national spokesperson. He's no stranger to the show. He's a national spokesperson for the Jehovah's
Hold on 1
Witnesses.
second.
And he joins us today to shine light on how the organization is spending time and resources to prepare families for unexpected natural disasters. That's through their provision of emergency program. And they have something called the Go Bags.
So this man came on here and he mentioned that the national spokesman for Jehovah's Witnesses is going to be interviewed. He's going to be talking about the Go Bags. So listen in. You're going to find this really, really fascinating. Let's hear what he has to say.
Everybody should know about it and have one. Please welcome to the show, Robert J. Hendricks III. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you, Dr. Bob. Nice to see you in your November best with No Shave November. Very, very interesting. Gives you a completely different look, which is nice.
Well, thank you. Should I sing that song for you?
Well, you know what? They wouldn't understand. They wouldn't have any context because we did that pre-show. But you.
Well, hold on 1 second. Now, Hendrix, Jehovah's Witness top dog here. I mean, he's big in the Watchtower. So he comes on this program. The moderator has a beard. He's grown a beard. You can see it. So Hendrix comes out and he compliments the brother on his beard. Yeah. I mean, what does the Watchtower think about beards? They hate beards. They don't want you to have a beard. You have to be clean shaven. But yet he comes on complimenting the brother, not the brother, but the commentator, for having a beard and how good he looks in it. Hey, I knew a man that complimented a brother for his beard. He said, wow, you look good in the beard. And an elder heard him say that. And he took him in the back room and counseled him for that. But yet here we have Hendrix coming out, and it's okay for him to say, hey, you look good in the beard. I mean, is this hypocrisy at its best or what? All right, now let's listen in. They're going to be talking about the Go Bags. So listen closely. Let's hear what they have to say.
You are hearkening me back to the 70s. It's got that 70s look a little bit. Love it, though.
All right. Well, thank you so much. But listen, you guys are involved in so many wonderful things in our community. And now you have the Go Bag program. Let's talk about it. Tell us about it.
Go Bags are something that many people have over the last, especially 10 years, even 20, have used to stay prepared, and our congregants are no different. I think Katrina really changed our direction as an organization. I think almost 20 years ago now, our organization has encouraged our congregants through our congregations to make preparations for potential emergencies. And so right here in New York.
All right, now, so there you have it. He's talking about the Go Bags. And if you're listening on the radio, he's showing a video of some Jehovah's Witness sisters, and they got a little yellow bag there, and they're stuffing it with all kinds of things, flashlights, and they got a New World Translation they're putting in there, and other things. So this is a puff piece at its best. Let's go with that. They're trying to come out with these puff stories that people can relate to, other than biblical messages. So that's what they're up to here. Just tighten up my mic. So this is how they're trying to get people's attention. They're trying to get them to come into the cult by doing this. Okay, so let's listen in. Let's see what else he has to say.
City, we had a terrible situation. I think only about a year and a half ago, Hurricane Ida, where some, due to storm surge, lost their lives in their basement apartments in Queens.
Yeah.
One of our Jehovah's Witness families was involved in that and was able really to think, prepare, and leave quickly to preserve their life. And the way you leave is you leave prepared, but you can't prepare in an emergency. You need to prepare before an emergency. And what we have found as an organization and what experts have found is that the first 72 hours are critical to life, to saving a life, because it's in those 72 hours that official redress or official help is really not there yet. The government, other organizations are rushing to the scene, but it sometimes takes them up to 24 to 72 hours. So in that period of time, we need water, we need food, we need basic essentials of life, batteries for our flashlights, we need our cell phones, we need our documents.
Well, see, I just have to stop and ask the question here. But you see, he's a paid commentator. He's paid. But I would ask Hendricks, the official for the Watchtower, I would say, gee, Mr. Hendricks, now these witnesses are packing go bags and they're putting all of these necessary essentials in there for a 24-hour period. Now, where are they going to go? Where do they go with their go bag? Now, that's a question I would ask, and it wasn't asked. But, Hendricks should say, well, these people are being prepared to come to a local kingdom hall or to go to an elder's house in the community. But there's no instructions here on where the witnesses are going with the go bags. But any organization that really had their act together would say, well, yeah, what we have is we have a coordinated effort. We have a number of elders standing by to guide these ones in time of a national disaster. They're not even mentioning that. That's kind of strange to me. So listen in. There's more here. I want you to hear it. And then, yes. Go ahead.
Hey, this sounds a lot like Nazi period. If they can get them all in one location, they can do, and it sounds so creepy. Thank you, Rick.
All right. Well, we'll play the rest of it, and I think you'll enjoy it. Let's play the rest of it. Get your go bags. Let's hear what he has to say.
All of which should be right now in a go bag that is ready to be taken from your front closet so that you can get out and be safe and save your life.
Yeah, can't do it at the last minute. Adrenaline is flowing, panic sets in, and you got to prepare before you get there. You got to have these go bags ready. What's essential for these go bags? What do we need?
Well, we need the things that will help us to sustain our life and the life of our children and perhaps even pets for 24 to 72 hours. So that will include absolutely water, some level of perhaps some freeze-dried food that's not going to go bad over the next year or two. Of course, we check our go bags on a regular basis. We need our documents. We need our medications. We need copies of our prescriptions. We need a flashlight. We need a radio. We perhaps a separate device that is charged up on a regular basis so that we can get news alerts, so that we can communicate, so that we have our documents that can prove who we are. And also, if we can put it in our children's bags, if our children are old enough, maybe even something to let them play with. So during the downtime, pets, we need food for our pets to sustain them, perhaps for another 24 to 48 hours. All of the things without being too heavy, that can sustain us, the necessities of life, not the luxuries, but the necessities. Perhaps a very, my wife and I have a Teflon blanket that folds up very tight, but keeps you warm during difficult times. And so all of those things, there are many resources for this. In fact, you can go to JW.
Oh, stop right there. So first of all, I'm going to say that, look, I'm not condemning the idea of a go bag. I think it's a pretty good thing to do. We all should probably be prepared for disaster. So it's not a bad thing. My main concern is, where does the witness go with the go bag? Just run out of the house? Okay, frantically? There should be a plan set in place. I'm sure that other organizations would have specific plans. He didn't mention anything about, as I said earlier, going to an elder's house or a kingdom hall. But now here comes the clincher. This guy sounds like it's an infomercial. Hendricks now is sounding like he wants to sell the go bag, and evidently they must be preparing to do that. I want you to listen closely to what he has to say, because people are going to be wanting to get this. So listen very closely. See if am I reading more into this than there is? I'm just going to roll it back a little bit, and let's see what he had to say about how to get a go bag and what have you, and see if the Watchtower might have another revenue source coming down the road. But maybe I'm reading more into it. You guys listen to it.
During difficult times. And so all of those things, there are many resources for this. In fact, you can go to jw.org. You can put in go bags, and you'll receive a good direction on what might go in a go bag, and also off that site, other sites that will also help you as well. And by the way, there are go bags that you can actually purchase that will have many of these general necessities in that you'll have to personalize later.
Now, that's another thing, too, we talked about here, well, probably a year or so ago, that they do have sites, I guess, off of jw.org that you can click on and order a go bag. And I'm wondering, the Watchtower is probably profiteering off of this. Really. They're trying to make it seem like, boy, they're the originators of the go bag. And, right now, people, because of the way the world is, and a lot of these people feeling that the coming New World Order is almost here and the Great Reset. People are buying survival food. They're buying weapons. They're saving canned food. They're doing everything because they don't know. So right now is a ripe time to really capitalize on this. Yes.
Rick?
Yes.
They certainly are. And there's some historical, they probably got a lot of it from history on how if you go to the WashingtonPost.com, there's an analysis on, and it says property stolen during the Holocaust. So what they're doing is they're creating an instability within the organization so they could just keep their thumb on the people instead of relying on God, which they don't teach that because they're relying on their governing body and these gaslighting tactics. But if, there's always the Red Cross that people can go to, how come they're not using institutions that have been around for many, many years? And, they're just creating their own fear effect. And then at the same time, they're also providing unique information to the public. Oh, we are Jehovah's Witnesses, and we have the answers to this world problem that they're creating. Because there is no issue that people need to leave their homes, but to create a to-go bag, that could be any one of us at any given point in time. We're a tornado or whatever. And so how sad that these witnesses have to live like this. But so anyways, during this period of time during the Holocaust, what they were doing is they took over people's homes, their businesses, and other property. And they took, their teeth, their gold from their teeth. Yeah. It's sick. I'm sorry, but this is what it's.
Well, it's sick, but it's not to that point yet, Mary. But I mean, you're all hypothesizing, but I mean, this is how things start. But one thing you did say there that made sense to me is what you noticed, and what I even noticed is they're trying to appeal to the general populace. They're trying to appeal to people that, we are Jehovah's Witnesses and we have some really good information, because the last one we showed on here a couple of weeks ago, it was all about bullying and how you shouldn't bully. So these aren't even religiously associated biblical discussions. These are secular discussions that the Watchtower is trying to capitalize on. Thank you, Mary. I want to play.
Hey, Rick.
Yeah. Hold on. What I like to do is I like to play the rest of it. I would like to play the rest of it. So you guys hold on so we don't lose the continuity of it. So no, I appreciate you guys calling in. We'll discuss it on the other side, but let me play the rest of it so you can get the feel of what was going on here, and then we'll discuss it on the other side. Listen in.
Robert, is there a Bible verse that will guide us into this that speaks about the organization and how, or speaks to on how people should prepare for natural disasters or things or famines and things of that nature that just happen upon us?
There is. In fact, the principle is life is sacred, right? So it's more sacred. It's, in fact, our things are not sacred. Life is sacred. Our house, our car, our belongings, our favorite baseball cards, not sacred, not important. Life is of the utmost importance. So Proverbs 22:3 says to all of us that the shrewd one sees the danger and conceals himself, but the inexperienced keep right on going and suffer the consequences. So the shrewd one sees the danger before it happens, conceals himself or herself. That's the key, to be able to see this, because what happens inevitably with a human being is, well, it's not going to happen to me. It's certainly not going to happen today or tomorrow. I have time. We procrastinate. It's not on us. It's only when that emergency begins to get on us, and then we go out to look for water in a grocery store and the shelves are empty.
Yes.
So preparing beforehand, seeing the danger, concealing ourselves. Once a year, all of our congregations around the world consider in May or early June, consider a part for everyone that goes over this information, asks us to go through our go bags to make sure that everything is up to date so that we are prepared. It's a nice reminder to our congregants to do that, but many of them don't have to be reminded because they recognize life is sacred and we're going to prepare, even though we may never see that happen in our lifetime.
You have information, pamphlets, or brochures out that you can hand out to the congregants?
Well, the best thing that we do is we point them to our website. We have videos, resources. The one that comes to mind is, Are You Prepared for a Disaster? It's an outstanding 5-minute video it's a whiteboard animation that goes through all the things that we need in a go bag, why we need to prepare. Very simple. And
just stop right there for a second, just another minute or so left. But what I wanted to bring up here is the thought that, what Mary brought it up too. What about Jehovah helping you? Haven't we always learned that, disasters and tribulation and times of turmoil, Jehovah would be there? But now it's like, grab your bag and go. So that's what we see happening here. It's really, really amazing to me that this guy is able to get away with this. But we've seen him on here a number of times, basically saying similar things. He's the Watchtower spokesman. And let's just finish this piece up, and then we'll see what you have to say about it.
And no matter how many times you've seen it, it's something that's going to say, oh, I forgot that, or I forgot to do that. I think that'll help many people. Just go to jw.org, put in disaster, preparedness, or go bag, and you'll find that video.
And those are the resources that are available to congregants and anybody else who wants to be part of your organization.
Yeah, or anybody, period. So it's a great resource for anybody. You don't have to be a Jehovah's Witness. We don't require you to be a member of the website. It's anonymous and it's free. And so it's a resource for everybody, whether you're a Jehovah's Witness or not.
Hey, thank you for all that you're doing in our community. We really, really appreciate your friend.
Thank you for all that you're doing in our community. Thank you for all you're doing in our community. I mean, why don't you ask them about how many people commit suicide, how many child molesters they're covering up? But we want to thank you for all you're doing in the community. Well, there you have it. We won't play any more of that. Go ahead. You're back on with us. Yes.
Hey, Rick, I'd really like to just say something here. So it's life is very important to them. But shunning isn't causing suicide and other psychological conditions. Also, the American Red Cross has been around a really long time. And our neighbors are good helpers in our community. And so basically what they're doing is, just like you said earlier, they are going off of whatever is the most current fears of the land, and they're trying to be the solution. And all they're trying to do is recruit new people. So yeah, let's start a database. You don't have to be a Jehovah's Witness. What a lie and a sham, when they have shunned me for 10 years here. And when they see me, which I just saw, actually, all the head honchos, they're out witnessing again. I saw all of our head honchos, and this is what's really creepy that's going on in my community. So get this, I saw all the head honchos at Starbucks, I walked in there. I'm all by myself, and there was about 13 or 14 of them, and they're all dressed up, and it's all the bigwigs from my hall. And I actually walked up to them, and I said, "Hey there!" And they're in public, and so of course they're not going to shun me in public. But boy, did I take them by surprise! And I looked them square in the eye and said, "How y'all doing? How are you guys?" And they just looked at me because, and I was thankful that I actually dressed up and I looked really nice. I had I had a really nice ski gear outfit on, and I just got a brand new car. Yay! And so obviously I'm not, I'm not suffering, not being a witness, but I just felt like I'm not going to be afraid of these characters, but you guys, we need to counteract this. We need to tell people in our community by flyers and warn these people about it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do something in my community to let people know. So, okay, I'm sorry. Let me just wrap this up. 2 seconds here. So get this. This is how creepy these people are. They're all moving. They live on all the same streets by me, and they've been doing this for years. There is so many Jehovah's Witnesses that live near me. It's disgusting. They're so afraid of Armageddon that they literally there's like 3 or 4 on the same street, on every street near me. And one of the leaders who moved away and then moved back says, "Oh yeah, I just bought the house near you." And I said, "Well, how long have you lived there?" He says, "I've lived here a year and a half." I'm thinking, "Oh, so you've been creeping by my house for a year and a half and not said hi to me?" I'm like, "This is creepy. Y'all will have to live near each other." Okay, I'm done. But anyways, I'm sorry. I just had to vent.
Well, that's good. Okay. Well, thank you, Mary. Thank you very much. Go ahead. You're on with us. Go ahead. Yep.
Rick.
Yes.
Hello, Rick.
Yes.
Hi, this is Joe.
Hi, Joe.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
Great program tonight.
Thank you.
I'd like to thank Mary for the expression that she just made about that she's doing something about it. What I say now may trigger some friends, but that's okay. As far as being out in service, pioneering or whatever, I honestly hated it. I always felt that for me to go to somebody's door and tell them how they should worship was like an affront to their spirituality. I had no right to do that, no right whatsoever. Why did I do it? I don't even know why, and I don't want to know why, but it was wrong. What I do enjoy now, and Fran and I do enjoy this, we do enjoy unwitnessing, going to people, speaking to them, warning them about the witnesses, about Watchtower. And what I would challenge any one of the friends who have been calling in, who obviously are very disturbed about what's going on, what I would ask them is, are we doing all we can to unwitness, rather than complaining to each other, which is always nice to, vent to each other? What about being active in our community, like Mary, and unwitnessing, putting in hours unwitnessing? You and we were obedient to people that hated us. Why not do something for the sake of people that we love, the ones that are being shunned, so that we can warn the rest of the community about the inhumane activity that the Watchtower is doing? Why not do something rather than just complaining?
Well, that's a good.
I have a suggestion.
Hold on, Marie. Let's let some other people have a shot at it. We got a lot of people want to call in. Go ahead. You're on JW World News. Did you guys want to speak up? I got a lot. Go ahead. I got a lot of people in the green zone. So go ahead, speak up if you want to right now. Now's the time to do it. No, Joe, very good comments on there. I really appreciate that. Okay, Mary, we'll bring you back in. Go ahead.
Hi, I got a comment.
Okay, go ahead.
Talking about the go bags, if we can go back there.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm disfellowshipped and I'm an apostate. I'm Eric, by the way. But I talked to my mother about it the last conversation that we will probably ever have, because she won't talk to me anymore. But anyways, I told her that the logic of the go bags is insane, because if we're going to be in a crisis, we're going to need a lot more than 2 days supply. And I told my mom to not trust the governing body and to save up as much food as she can, just to prepare, to look towards the future, just in case. If you're going to do it right. 2 days is nothing. It doesn't cover anything. And she cut me off from that point, and she said, I can't talk to you anymore. And that's what happened. But I just thought I would share that the go bags are just, they're not logical. They don't make any sense at all. If you're going to be so paranoid about something happening in the future, you should prepare a lot more than 2 days. And that was my point. Sorry, Rick.
Well, no, good point. Very, very good point. Well, thank you, Eric, for sharing that with us. So.
Hey, Rick.
Yes.
I wanted to mention, they try to sound like you're so public-minded by talking about the go bag, or they've also done recently talking about how to help your kids if they're being bullied at school. And they're using those as tools to get the community to look at Jehovah's Witnesses, and they're doing it so they can look at them as an organization. It's a way of witnessing to them instead of people going door to door. It's a new way of getting into their homes and into their minds and making you think, oh, these are such good people, when they're not. They're just using these things that are supposed to be for good as a tool to their ends.
Well, exactly, Susan. That's exactly what they're doing. It's all for them. It's not for the people. Thank you, Susan, for bringing that up. Appreciate it. Well, friends, my goodness gracious, we still got. Yes, go ahead.
Rick, could I comment on? I just want to comment on what Eric said about his mother. It was not so much about the go bag. It was a simple thing that could have been said. Her response could have been, well, I don't think you know what you're talking about. I don't agree with you. Instead, the fact that he didn't absolutely support in every way whatever Watchtower was suggesting, that meant he was a wicked apostate speaking lies from Satan, and she had to cut him off. That is indicative of the extent and the depth of the mind control this wicked cult has on its members, who are totally programmed. Thank you.
Thank you, Emery. Go ahead, brother. You're on with us. Yeah.
Eric, and I just wanted to say thank you to that woman. You gave me some clarity. Thank you.
Good. Thank you, Eric. Thank you, Emery. All right, go ahead, sir. You're on with us.
All right. Yeah. Just a quick thought. The Jehovah's Witnesses always, or the governing body, always has to have Armageddon on the horizon, next day, whatever. So if you have a go bag parked at your front door, it's a reminder that Armageddon's coming, and you have to be in that organization. And when Moses took the Israelites out of Egypt, he was told to make sure you have AA batteries and AAA batteries for the long walk through 40 years in the desert. So,
well, that's a good analogy. That was a good analogy. I mean, they had nothing, but they got something from Jehovah, didn't they? Huh? Where's Jehovah in all of this? Yeah, very good, Dick.
Man for heaven.
Oh, there you go. Hey, then very good comment. Well, anyways, my goodness gracious, I want to let you know that in about a half hour from now we have Barbara Anderson. And she's coming back on with us. She's coming back on with us tonight. Barbara Anderson, researcher, tells all. Tonight, she wants to talk about the dirty dealings that went on in the writing department. She's going to talk about a woman that was just completely out of control in the writing department. She wants to share that with us tonight. It's going to be fascinating. Barbara assured me she's never told these stories anywhere else before, but she's going to tell them here on the 6 screens tonight exclusively. So by all means, Barbara Anderson, right around 9:30, she'll be coming on. Stay with us. All right. So
wow, that's going to be a hot show, Rick.
Well, it does. Yeah, go ahead.
The one thing I wanted to mention was ready.gov has exactly the same list as the witnesses do. It's not a bad idea to have all your bank papers and IDs and things together. To have a go bag is a practical thing. You need to remember to put your toothbrush in there. And if you're ever in a natural disaster, you can always wash your family photos, even if your house is destroyed. These are things that happen. We're going to have a tornado watch this weekend here where I live. I hope it passes over me. But with the witnesses, they're actually just taking that ready.gov program and claiming it for themselves so they look more normal. But it's not a bad idea to do that for your family and yourself.
Right. I certainly would say the same thing. I didn't really, in fact, imply it was bad. You know that. I did make that clear. But what I see here is they're exploiting it. They're using it as a way to recruit people. They're using it a way to make money too.
Normal icing on it so people aren't seeing the real problems that they're facing with their members.
Yeah.
And why can't they encourage their members to join the Red Cross that's been around for a lot of years and to help that organization out that helps a lot of communities?
Oh, I'm with Red Cross. I've worked for them. And like I said, the ready.gov website is the same list as the Go Bag list. And I even see your World War II point, Mary, that back in World War II, there were some ethnic groups that got postcards that said, "Oh, show up at this train station. You're going to get work." And of course,
they even gassed them in vans. My family is from Europe, and I lived in Europe because my father was in the military. So I got to intimately see the Holocaust area, and I studied it, and that was part of our curriculum. So from a very young age, and so yes, and so. But I wanted to make a suggestion. This is what I plan on doing. There is a lot of really good, like Rick mentioned, and everybody on here is, some of you all are doing YouTube videos. I'm not real good to do that, but I think I'm doing it by own testimony. However, what we could do is, you know how they leave tracts around? What we could do is when we're standing in line at the post office, or when we see somebody who's vulnerable, like a war veteran or a single mom or somebody sad or whatever, just hand them a piece of, just print it out, put all your favorite YouTube videos that you love, perhaps this show, phone numbers, and just do an outreach, just an informative piece of paper that says, are you currently a Jehovah's Witness that is depressed, oppressed, afraid of leaving? And do a question mark, and then put, there is help. And then just put all the help lines, like the Rick Fearon show, of course, you know, the suicide hotline. You could put that number 1, but we don't have to put our names. We don't have to do any of that. It could be anonymous, just like they leave tracts all around and they're so annoying. We could just leave 1 or 2. We don't have to be obnoxious in our community, but we could just do it as needed.
Yeah.
And just do it out of love. And just maybe even put a little heart on in there and say, maybe just write a little note saying, I used to do this. I'm sorry if I ever witnessed to you. You don't even have to sign your name. Just put signed, you know, make up a name, but just, it's out of love. So it doesn't matter.
Well, we get the point, Mary. No, that's good. So who would you plan on giving these to just people at random or what?
Yes, absolutely. My community is a beautiful community, and these witnesses are out now again, and they're all dressed to the hilt. And as a matter of fact, please just allow me to say this too here, okay? I just got a delivery from UPS tonight, and this prompted my anger, a righteous anger, okay? My UPS guy is a very kind soul. He's half my age, and he's ripe for a cult. So he came to my door, and we were yakking, and like we always do, and his wife is in the medical field like me, and he mentioned, this just came out of the blue, he was complaining about a Jehovah's Witness a few doors down from me who wouldn't stop talking to him and trying to convince him to go to a meeting. And he said what was really sick about it was he said that the guy, the witness, whom I'm sure is one of the big wigs that I ran into, is into real estate, and told him you can get really wealthy. So he was using this wealthy witness technique, and the UPS guy has no clue about my history with the witnesses.
And I'm thinking, wow, I was meant to hear this.
Yeah.
And then I thought, Rick Fearon's on tonight. I'm getting on this show.
Well, very good, Mary. Well, very good. Well,
Okay.
thank you for sharing the story. We got to kind of move on here because I got another couple of stories we got to discuss. But no, thank you for chiming in. But I know you're very enthusiastic, and we always enjoy your enthusiasm, Mary. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's Sister
Yeah.
Sister Mary is right. There needs to be a national effort on XJWs to go door to door and put the word out that this is a nasty cult and beware of them.
It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen, Jeff. I can't even get people to come out and protest with me. I try every year. It's not going to happen. There's only certain things.
I started up a meeting and I hardly got anybody to show. So
It's nice. I
understand.
know. I know everyone has good ideas.
Rick,
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I'd just like to say, Jeff, I appreciate what you're saying. And I, for one, will offer that I'm going to put in at least 10 hours next month on witnessing, and I'm going to report on it.
Well, that's good, Joe. No, in fact, that's you would do it, but there's so many just wouldn't. But thank you, Joe, for bringing that up.
Hello, Rick.
Yeah, go ahead. We got a few minutes. We're going to move on to another story. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. I just wanted to give my opinion, Rick, on this infomercial. We get a lot of news, aren't we? That there's quite a few of these infomercials that are happening.
Oh yeah.
And my thought on this is because it's all about practical things, things that can be useful to people, at least in the eyes of the listeners who are going to be listening to them. And my feeling on this is that they're preparing people for when they open their new studio. I personally feel that they're going to do something big with that studio. They might have their own TV program or whatever. And I think what's happening with these infomercials is they're just trying to prepare people to show them, oh, they're not so bad. Yeah, they're doing good things. They're trying to help the community so that when they launch their TV program, if that's what it's going to be, the public are prepared for it. They might think, oh, yeah, I've seen them. They're not so bad. Let's tune in. Let's have a look. Let's see what they're up to. And obviously they're going to be concentrating more on things that they're doing, or so-called doing to help people. So, yeah, I personally think this is all part of preparing people for whatever agenda they've got with this new building that they're doing. Just my thoughts.
Well, thank you, Steve. Now, tomorrow you're coming on on Anne Marie's program at 2:00. Remember that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Ready.
Looking forward to it. We'll be listening to you tomorrow at 2:00 Eastern Time. Steve from the United Kingdom is going to be on ex-Jehovah's Witnesses give their Christian testimony. So really looking forward to it. Thank you, Steve, for chiming in with us tonight. Excellent. Well, we certainly appreciate it. We got about another 20 minutes to go. And what I'm going to bring up here, I'm going to bring up one other thought here tonight that we had a few more stories. We can't get to them all, but we'll pick them up next week. But I got thinking today when I was thinking of Robert Hendricks and him coming on and really lying, really lying. And, that beard looks good on you and all of this that he said. He's like a used car salesman that's just trying to sell the car. And but basically what I came up with here is, all of us as Jehovah's Witnesses, we had to lie. I suppose I can use that word. We had to lie about the organization at one time or another when we were out in the ministry. So the question I would bring up here tonight to the audience is, what was the biggest lie about the organization you ever told in the ministry? And I am aware that the organization and its members, they would flat out lie to make the whole presentation that we had at the door seem appealing. So what was the biggest lie you ever told? And I just want to first of all define the biggest lie as something you at the time know for certain is not true, but you said it anyways. Not anything you truly believed in, but you said it. So I can think of one of the biggest lies that I used to say, and I kind of got away from it in a while, but I would tell the people that I'm not here to convert you. But I knew I would love to make them one of Jehovah's Witnesses. So by definition, I was there to convert them. I wanted them to leave Christendom and become one of Jehovah's Witnesses. I mean, there's so many lies that we told in service that we didn't realize it. And I was thinking today of some of them. Another one was, we're not here. We're only here to promote Bible reading. I mean, was that really true? Were we only knocking on doors in the neighborhood to promote Bible reading? No, we weren't. We were there trying to recruit them into a cult. Now, we didn't know that. And then people would say, I remember people would ask me at the door, well, are you the only ones? You get talking about Armageddon. And they say, are you the only ones that are going to survive Armageddon? Now, we couldn't come out and say, well, yes, we are. But we would make up some type of a cockamamie statement. And we know in our hearts that we were the only ones. But we would say something along the lines that, Jehovah will certainly work with such ones and see if he can't preserve them. I mean, we'd make all of this stuff up. How about you? Can you remember some lies?
We care about you.
We
care about you. That's why we're here.
Well, that's a good one, Mary. Yeah, we care about you. That's why that's a real good one. Thank you. How about someone else? Yeah, what did you tell for a lie? Yes. Go ahead. Yes, go ahead. You're on.
I was thinking we used to lie to each other while we were waiting at the doors. If someone was telling us a personal problem they had, we would say, well, just go out and service more, read the Bible more, and study more.
Yeah.
We always had some flip answer, but we knew it was a lie because it never really helped anything anyway. It was just something we said to each other, and it was like a lie. We told each other.
Well, that's a good. We'll accept that. That's a good thing. No, I can remember even going out door to door, especially. Well, Satan kicked me out of his organization back in 2005, but I was still going out in service prior to that. And I can remember in a whole car group, and we'd all come back, from going door to door. Did you place anything, Brother Pellegrino? Did you place anything, Brother Hurley? Did anyone place anything? No, we didn't. But, even though we didn't, we certainly are encouraging each other being out here. I mean, how can you encourage someone being out there when there's no productivity? It's like going fishing and catching nothing. Yeah. So any lies?
I can think of all the thoughts.
You got another?
Gossips about the household.
Yeah. You got another lie for us, Mary? Just keep it on topic here now. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Keep it on topic.
It's on topic.
Okay.
Hi, we about him. We gossiped about him when we left.
I didn't catch all of that. I didn't catch that, Mary. What did you say?
We did not truly care about them because when we got in the car group, we gossiped about them.
Well, yeah, no, that's what happened. That's what happened. I mean, another lie I can think of. Just block your phone off, Mary, if you would hit *6. It's coming and we hear the background. Yeah. No,
it's not me, but
it's not okay. We have someone else, and I'm sorry, it's probably not you, but yeah, you gotta if you're not speaking up, you got TVs going. I mean, if you got your phone unmuted, we're gonna hear it. But anyways, another lie would be that we're not selling anything. We're not selling anything. Well, of course we're selling something. We're selling things to trying to sell them on the idea of becoming one of Jehovah's Witnesses. So there's a lot of things. How about this one? I'm visiting my neighbors, would knock on the door. I can remember saying this. I'm visiting my neighbors as a service to our community. Oh, yeah, great service. Bring people into a cult and mess their life up. Or I'm doing a volunteer work. Did you ever say that when you were in service? I'm doing a volunteer work. All of these things. Or I can remember saying to people, we will study with you in any Bible. Well, that was a falsehood too. We didn't sit down and study the Bible with householders. We sat down and studied the Watchtower publications. So all of these things, I mean, all of us, I hate to say it, but I'm not going to say we were bald-faced liars, but we did kind of stretch the truth a little bit. But I think probably the biggest one was, we're not here to convert you. Of course we were there to convert.
That's the one my mother used to say all the time, Rick. We're not here to convert you. Why waste your time? Why are people wasting their time?
Yeah.
Why knock on doors? Why knock on doors?
Yeah. Interesting.
We're saving lives.
Yeah. Go ahead. We got another fella coming on. Go ahead, brother. You're on with us.
Yeah. Hey, Rick.
Yeah.
I want to tell you about a lie I told.
Yeah.
I'm in Yuma, and I served as an elder for a little bit under 15 years. And at the circuit convention in San Diego, I would run the, and in Yuma, I would run the parking lot. So I ran the parking lot for about 16 to 18 years as department head and as a helper in the big conventions and running the literature and as a secretary, as a school overseer for 11 years. And they would never, ever let me have a discourse at the assembly. So when I learned the truth about the truth, all of a sudden I was getting assignments at the elder school to run the school. And so I would always lie that I had to work. And one time the circuit overseer got kind of violent with me. I'm an air conditioning tech. So I told him, hey, I can't go because it's in July. I can't break away. And he told me I had to call the branch. But it's funny, until I learned the truth about the truth, I was never given any privileges at the convention level. And once I learned the truth about the truth, I was given all these assignments and I couldn't do them. So I had to lie my way out of every assignment, and they almost got violent on me. And I still have nightmares. This has been about 2006 when I left, 2013 finally left, 2006 I found out. And to this day, I still have nightmares that I have an assignment at the convention or something.
Wow.
Can you believe that?
Oh, well, I can believe it. I mean, I still, I dream every night. I dream. Yeah.
I'll wake up in a cold sweat thinking I'm in an elder room and I have to give some stupid talk that I disagree with. And boy, that's one of the scariest.
It's a nightmare.
So when I think back of all the lies I told them, I'm proud of those lies.
Well,
I'm proud of the lies.
Well, I'll tell you what. I mean, it's you know, they use lies, they use war strategies. So you know, you can do it too. You can do it too. But you know, a lot of people.
We had to do them.
A lot of people, like you say, you have nightmares. I dream almost every night of me at a convention. Seriously, almost every night of the week. I'm at a convention and seeing the people. Sometimes I'm an apostate. Sometimes you're just a regular witness. It's embedded in my head. You know, jeez.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is a great story, Rick. Okay, I'll talk to you guys. Merry Christmas,
everybody. Oh, well, Merry Christmas. In fact, I'm going to announce it later on. But something that I think you might have been involved. Were you involved with that song that the Merry Christmas song by Gilbert? Were you involved with that?
I wrote a lot of them.
Oh yeah, well I'm gonna play that.
I wrote a lot of them.
I'm gonna play that later on, so I want people to hear it. So that's good. Okay. Yeah, thank you.
Merry Christmas to all the brothers.
Well, the same thing to you. Same thing to you. Thank you. Well, there you go. So what do you think? I mean, did you guys get involved in lies? We all did, right? So let's move on here. Let's see what's happening. We had some more stories, but we'll come back next week and pick them up. Well,
can I add to the lie?
What's that? You gonna lie?
Can I add to the about the lies just before we close it out?
Yeah, go ahead.
Here, I fixed my phone. Sorry. Yeah, like I was a pioneer, like I told you, I'm Eric, and the major thing that you said that triggered me was when you said that we were not here to convert, because I heard that all the time. All the time. Everyone was saying that to me in the ministry, if you want to call it that. And the other major lie was I didn't realize what people were saying. They said, you don't believe in Jesus. And I'm like, that's ridiculous. Of course we do. But no, what we don't believe in Jesus is because we don't believe, we don't believe in Jesus in a way because we don't believe that he's our mediator. And I see that now. I see that when I was peddling this crap to the people, that when they would say to me, you don't believe in Jesus, it was because we're not believing in his ransom, and we're not believing in the way, we're not believing that he is the mediator and not a single man. And I just wanted to share that, but that's how I thought of it when I was in the ministry. It was like, I was peddling lies, and I didn't mean to, and I regret it for sure.
Well, thank you, Eric. No, that's okay. We all kind of regret it, but we realized at the time that we were in a cult, but you're out of that now. So, but thank you for admitting that and saying it. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks for coming in tonight too. We
Yeah,
really,
no problem. I
really,
want everyone to, if there's anything I can do at all to help people to see where we came from and just grow. The major thing that Jehovah's Witnesses fail at is that they have no self-growth. My mother is like a 17-year-old girl that never grew up. And I can say the same about my mother-in-law. It's a damaging cult that destroys your soul. And you have to remember never to follow men and always to do what's right. All God wants from you, in my opinion, is to be a good person to others. And that's all I have to say, Rick.
well, Eric, you're a good man. Don't you ever change. And thank you for coming on and being with us tonight. We really appreciate it. Thank you.
Always, ever since I found out your channel, I think that you are a super professional. I was raised in Providence, Rhode Island, and my grandfather used to listen to guys that sound like you on AM radio. And I think that you're really good at what you do, and you deserve more YouTube followers. And I tell everybody about you.
Well, thank you.
As much as I can. So keep up the good work.
Well, thank you. Your commission check will be in the mail, Eric. Thank you. All right.
You got me to laugh right there, my friend.
Okay.
Thank you, my fellow Bostonians.
All right. Yes, you got it.
Have a great night.
All right. Well, anyways, that's it. Well, we're going to wrap it up here. We got Barbara Anderson coming on about 5 minutes. But I just want to say now, next week, we have got a special Christmas party next week. Now, that'll be on the 24th. That's Christmas Eve. Now, I know a lot of us ex-witnesses, many ex-witnesses, they're lonely. You know, many of us don't get too deep into it because we've been so hurt by the Watchtower. We don't know what to do for Christmas. But we're going to have a big Christmas celebration next weekend. We're going to have prizes, trivia questions. We're going to have songs. And what we're going to do is anyone that would like to come on camera, and we're going to have like a jam session. And we're going to bring different ones on camera. I already have a bunch of people lined up that will be coming on StreamYard, and we'll be able to see them and wish each other the best for the holidays and talk about many things, just like we're, in a room talking together. And we'll let our hair down. We're not going to, get too deep into Watchtower and how bad and evil they are, but we'll talk about some of the things and trivia questions, and we'll have all these people coming in on, Barbara Anderson will be on, and others that just pop in and say hello. So if you would like to pop in on video and say hello to us and just wish us a Merry Christmas and say hello and then disappear, just 2 minutes, 1 minute, 5 minutes, however long, and hang around with us on Christmas Eve, why don't you write me at jwworldnews@gmail.com and say, Rick, I'd like to come on and just jam with you guys and hang out with you guys and be on the video screen. If you feel comfortable, go ahead, just write me and I'll send you a link. I'll send you a link in the email. So next Saturday night, whenever you want, anytime, beginning at 7 o'clock, our Christmas party will start, and we'll go to probably about 11, and we'll have a grand old time, games and fun and prizes and trivia. And you can come on. We're going to have some people singing. And I know Zach, if he's listening in, Zach, if you have, I know you're on the video suite. If you have a song that you like us to play, send it to me. Do you have a Christmas song you want to sing? It doesn't have to be a Christmas song, but if you want, send it to me, Zach, and we'll be able to play that next Saturday night. So if you want to come on camera, write me, jwworldnews@gmail.com. We'll get you on camera. So that will be good. So that's next week. Now, tomorrow we do have 6 Screen Sunday. We do have 6 Screen Sunday coming up. And we got some great programs coming up tomorrow, beginning at 12 noon. We have Chad coming in from Illinois. He's got a program, and he talks all about the cults. And he wants to talk tomorrow. He's going to finish up his discussion on the Heaven's Gate cult. So be sure to join us tomorrow right here on YouTube and all the other channels we have here going on. He'll be on with us at 12 noon. And then 1 o'clock, we go to Knowing God with Scott Walton, Jody Bishop. They're going to be talking about, the great crowd. And really, what is the great crowd? Who are they? So you might want to listen in for that. And then at 2 o'clock, we have testimonies. Christians, ex-Jehovah's Witnesses, share their Christian testimony. Anne Marie coming in and hosts the program. And we have Steve coming in from the United Kingdom. That's at 2 o'clock. At 3 o'clock, we do JW World News, bring you right up to speed on our Sunday edition. And then at 4 o'clock, we have our premier program, The Christian Court. And man, that is just gaining a lot of momentum. You don't want to miss that. We ask simple Christian questions that are answered, non-salvation point questions. I think you'll find it very interesting and fascinating. Join us for The Christian Court tomorrow at 4 p.m. And then we're going to go to Jay Hess. He's going to answer your Bible questions. Jay was associated with the Watchtower writing department, and he's going to answer some questions, Bible questions that you might have tomorrow on Making Disciples with Jay Hess at 5 p.m. 5 p.m. tomorrow, right here on the Six Screens Tele Network. Well, we're so pleased, friends. We are seeing so many things happening in the Watchtower. We're seeing so many people leave, and I think it's very, very fascinating and encouraging and enlightening to see so many people right now leaving the Watchtower. We've been doing the program for going on 17 years. I've never seen it like this. This is totally, totally amazing to me that so many people are packing their bags. They're looking for the exit door at the Watchtower, at the Kingdom Halls. Many are leaving right now. So by all means, we want you guys to keep it up. Keep posting on Facebook. Keep making YouTube videos. We appreciate all the people that are doing it. We appreciate all of the people that are making YouTube videos. We want to shout out to Watchtower Escape, Elaine. She does a great job. Mike and Kim, they're getting a lot of people really listening in and seeing what the Watchtower is hiding behind. So we send all of our goodness and all of our shouts out to all those people that are working so hard to really get the word out there that Jehovah's Witnesses are a very dangerous and a destructive cult. So join us tomorrow. We got Barbara Anderson is coming up next, and to give us about a minute, she'll be up with us. In the meantime, I want you to listen to this. My good friend Gilbert Gonzalez and his brother were involved with this. Listen to this, and we wish you all the best. See you coming up in just a few minutes.
Jehovah's Witness Christmas.
Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad. Próspero año y libertad. Feliz apostata. Feliz Navidad. Feliz apostata. Próspero año y libertad. I wanna wish you an apostate Christmas. I wanna wish you an apostate Christmas. I wanna wish you an apostate Christmas from the bottom of my heart. I wanna wish you an apostate Christmas. I wanna wish you an apostate Christmas. I wanna wish you a Merry Christmas from the bottom of my heart.
Well, there you go. Merry Christmas, everyone. Barbara Anderson up next. Thank you for coming in to the Six Screens tonight.